Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for Petroleum team for the opportunity, for the invitation of Mr. Egan. My presentation, I will talk a little bit about petroleum equipment trends in Latin America, ethanol in Brazil, the most successful experience up to now. For those who doesn't met me before, I'm Marcello Cyrino, my name. I'm International Sales Manager for Cepini, Brazil. Well, let's start with global threats and warnings. Something that be talking all over the world every day is about global warming and the post-petroleum era. Just for your knowledge, during this week, everybody I think have received the newspaper in the room. Every day it appears something. On Monday, there was about Thailand. Some lake or some city in Thailand that is underwater because of global warming. I can share with you later. Yesterday, about Malaysia. Malaysia is Bangkok governor ups to the temple on green measures. They are looking forward to work in green fuel, green energy. So this is from our business, we that work in the energy business, we that as a part of the most important distribution network is fuel for automotive appliance, must think about that. So in order to prevent these threats, the world think about some alternatives, fuel alternatives. Now we focus on automotive appliance, fuel for automotives. So, the most common ones by now are natural gas is a good option, but it's no clean and no renewable at all. Second one, hydrogen. It's a very good option also. You can obtain from water easily, but the water is ending also. So, under development is still an expensive technology. The third one is electric. We have a lot of, is a reality. We have a lot of cars, new development of Toyota and now other big manufacturers. But it's under evolution because there is a lot of limitations, like the autonomy, the battery, the speed of the vehicles and other ones. So it's under evaluation. The other one would be biodiesel. Biodiesel is pretty close to biofuel, but it's different stuff. It's also under development. There are a lot of initiatives all over the world, but they did not find yet the best one. It's still under development. It's people using many mixes in biodiesel already, but to use as a fuel. When I talk about this, is substituting petroleum or being a complete alternative for petroleum. I mean, the cars run 100% with this new fuel. Then we have biofuels. Biofuels under evolution also. It's like the biodiesel. A lot of initiatives locally in many parts of the world, but under evolution. And we have finally the ethanol. Ethanol is ready to use. It's a 30 years old successful technology. I will show you in the next slides. So, talking about biofuel viability. So these numbers here explain from what price of the oil barrel this biofuel becomes viable. So the first one, ethanol from Europe by wheat. Starting being viable when the barrel price is $90. Biodiesel from Europe, canola, $65. Everybody knows what's the price today of the barrel? or yesterday, or 60? 67? Okay. So we can figure out which alternative are becoming viable or not. Ethanol from USA by corn, $65, so not fully viable yet. Biodiesel from Malaysia by palm oil, 55 US dollars. A little close, but not fully effective. And ethanol from Brazil, from sugarcane, $35. It's viable. So it's cheaper technology, more efficient than the other ones up to now. It's important to say, up to now. We cannot say about tomorrow, about the future, but up to now, it's considered the more efficient technology for alternative fuel. Is another important issue in this slide. It's not a guarantee that other biodiesel, other biofuels are clean. Everybody thinks wrongly that if it's a biofuel, if it's a biodiesel, it is clean. It doesn't pollute or the global warming. No, it's wrong. Depending on the plant that you obtain the biodiesel, biofuel, can be more potential pollution than petroleum. Okay? So, let's talk about Brazil. Everybody, I think, have heard about Brazil. My friend from India talking about the BRIC with the most emergent economies in the world now, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Sorry. So Brazil is this country about the football, the soccer. Everybody have seen Brazilian soccer, yeah? Ronaldinho, beautiful guy, yeah? And the other one is Maradona from Argentina. I'm joking. It's the famous Pelé, our best player all over the times since up to now. And this is the carnival. Very beautiful party in our country. I invite you to attend. You can stay at home. Not everybody, for sure. But you are my guest. So, now talk a little bit about the ethanol in Brazil. We're talking about soccer, carnival, and now ethanol. I'll tell you something about the history of ethanol in Brazil. So it started in 1975 as a consequence of the 1973 first global petroleum crisis. It was a big trouble for the world. In Brazil, by that time, was 85 dependent in all energy of the country by petroleum. So it took Brazil in front of the head. So in 1975, the government launched the Brazilian ethanol program, a very important one. By that time, they did not think too much about global warming or end of petroleum era. They did that because of the crisis. But as a consequence, of course, nowadays we achieved other objectives. In 1980, the first vehicle in Brazil 100% moved by ethanol. I mean, no E85, no E15, no, it's 100%. In 1985, 96% of the new vehicles in Brazil, the new manufacturers, were moved by ethanol. 100%. It's important to say. In 1990, there was a law that every liter of gasoline should have 25% of ethanol mixed. It's a law up to now. Then it was a little gap, between 1990 up to 2000. Everybody here may remember that by this decade, the petroleum was up and down all the time. Up and down. It was up to 60, then go down to 20, and of course, it had some repercussion in our ethanol program also. But in 2003, in the beginning of the new millennium, the ethanol came back with a lot of much stronger than before. We launched the first flex fuel vehicle, the first car moved by multiple fuels, which means could be moved by 100% gasoline or 100% ethanol or a mix of both. In 2006, 8% of the new vehicles were flex fuel by December 2006, and now this number is growing very fast. So we could say that, I can say that today in Brazil, 33,000 petrol stations sells ethanol, mixed with gasoline or 100%. In June, this month, current June 2007, the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, had a forum in Paris about this subject, about fuels, clean fuels alternatives. And they concluded after the event with a lot of specialists all over the world that Brazilian sugarcane ethanol is the current best option. What I mean, current best option? Efficient, easy, renewable, clean, real clean, and other features that I'm going to show shortly. Brazilian vehicles manufacture is a big, brief scenario from January 2003 to December 2005. You see that in the beginning, the red is gasoline, gasohol we call, because you always have 25% alcohol, ethanol. So the red, it was the vehicles manufactured by gasohol, the green, alcohol, ethanol, and the yellow flex fuel. You see a big growth on the flex fuel vehicles. So in December 2006, almost 80%. And this number today may be 85% or almost 90%. Of all vehicles manufactured in our country are flex fuel. Almost all, 90%, I guess. And there is another important thing to be said. There is a new technology of flex fuel also. It's the three fuel. They have ethanol, gasoline, and natural gas. And we have another technology coming up with tetra fuel, ethanol, gasoline, natural gas, and electricity. But by now, the most used in our market is the flex fuel of two fuels. Some characteristics of ethanol. This is the plant, you see? This is the plant, and this is what they take to produce the ethanol from sugarcane. This is the sugarcane plant. So, easily renewable, for sure. One important thing to be said, other biofuels may be not so easy to renew, like corn, or maybe wheat. I'm not a biologist to talk about that, but that's something that it's been said by the specialists. So, for instance, the ethanol from sugarcane, when you take all the plants to produce ethanol, it takes less than 1 year in the same field to grow up a new plant that you can produce again. It can take from 6 months to 1 year at most. Other plants take longer to grow again, to be possible to take the fuel. Environmentally safe. Again, important to be said that not all biodiesel or biofuel are environmentally safe, are clean. Generate jobs. As far as it grows in the poor areas, the most poor areas of the countries, in Brazil, we are talking about Brazil, it generates a lot of jobs. The pulp is used as energy co-generator. After producing ethanol, the pulp of this can be burned and used as electric energy co-generator. Sugarcane plant absorb, let me take my thing here. Okay. So, sugarcane plant absorb CO2. So it means that this plant here, before taken for manufacturing ethanol, is a plant, is a green tree. So it absorbs CO2 from there. And when it becomes a fuel, it's clean. So you have multiple, double safety, I would say. But then, of course, we have some important remarks to be said. The biofuel, ethanol, and all others, biodiesel, more than biofuel, I would say, more than ethanol, even more, are highly corrosive. Biodiesel are even higher corrosive than ethanol. A lot of microorganisms can appear in the biodiesel. It requires appropriate materials. Now we are arriving in our event now. Petroleum equipment industry, oil companies, petrol stations. So it requires that the materials that transport, storage, and handling for this fuel be appropriate, be already tested, proved, and ready for this new scenario. And it's highly inflammable. It's highly inflammable. I tell you that in our country, when we do a barbecue on Sunday, we use the ethanol to put fire on. You just need a little bit, and you put a spark, and you must stay back. It's highly inflammable. So it requires safety, requires very caution in the equipments to handle and to transport this fuel. So, in this scenario, Zeppini appears in that time in 1979 or something, where the program started. By the time the government of Brazil decided to put this product as a reality, we should accomplish the requirements of the products, the line, the equipments for handling, storage, and transport this product. So, the materials compatibility analysis were made from our company between 1979 and 1981, testing all the polymers, adequation of polymeric elastomers metals. You need to be sure that the plastics, rubbers, metals are good to work with these new fuels. And the most important, for a long time, not to test today and 2 months say, oh, it's okay. No, you must evaluate for some time. Few prototypes and lab tests in 1981 with our current line. Few tests from 1981 to 1984. We put a complete line of products in certain stations to evaluate their performance using 100% ethanol. Important. 100% ethanol. The first site was in October 1984. The first site in Brazil who sold 100% ethanol in a pump, in a dispenser. And fortunately, it was with our line of products, our full line, from underground, above ground equipment, our full line. Reference for government institutes. So from this point, we started dealing with all associations of Latin America, basically Brazilian, dealing with what they need for this new fuel. We have been contacted by many oil companies and other players, other manufacturers of our market, to share information, to share what is the requirements for the products being succeed in this scenario. We constantly study and evaluate evolution since 1985. So, considering that a lot of different kind of biofuels are showing up, biodiesel, we must be still studying and working to identify the new technologies, to be up to date with that, and to apply in our products the best technology to handle this fuel, or new fuels that are coming. So I can say that we have an expertise in products for from E1, 1% ethanol maybe, to E100%. A little bit about Cepini. We are the petrol station market providing solutions since 1950. Now we have 57 years old. We are the largest manufacturer in Latin America that manufacture products in Latin America, factories in Latin America. We can be considered the largest one now. We have presence over 50 countries, and now, from now on, over 50. I met many friends here that in countries that we did not have business up to now, and hopefully from now on we have. We have OEM products around the globe. We are one of the most important manufacturers in OEM for big companies outside Brazil. They look for us to manufacture certain products for their applications in OEM. Current contracts with major oil companies and local oil companies. We have plenty of contracts in Brazil, exclusivity contracts with major oil companies from USA, from Europe, local companies. And for Latin America also, we just signed some contracts with big companies, big oil companies from USA to Latin America. We have international certifications, full ethanol compatibility since 1984. This is important. So it's 31 years. No, let me make the count. 2004, 23 years. That's it. 23 years. After 2 days, we forget the mathematics. So it's 23 years, sorry. That's again, for this kind of solution, you cannot evaluate and test today and in 3 months say that's okay. You must have some background. You must have some time to evaluate what's going to happen with the product after a couple of years using these new products. We have effluent treatment solutions, oil water separation, and other appliances. I mean, we have a full range of products, which means solutions. So we can provide from SAMs, spill containers, oil treatment solutions, and now the transportation storage equipment for petrol stations. In fact, I don't know if it will be petrol stations for so long. Maybe fuel stations sounds better, yeah? Because now it's a lot of new fuels coming up. Yeah. So, I would say for sure that our mission is provide solutions to protect the environment and the future. And this is the last line, is the most important. No matter what will be the fuel, we will be there. Thank you very much.
Marcello, thanks. Do we have questions? I'll be surprised if there isn't a question on alternative fuels. Yeah.
My question is how...
So what's the company?
Judge from Saudi Fuel. How efficient is the ethanol fuel or biofuel comparatively to gasoline?
Yeah. The efficiency you mean on the car, for the cars? Yeah, it has two different aspects. People say that the cars runs faster with alcohol. So for the ones who like to race in the street, it's a good. But its consumption is higher, a little higher than gasoline. So it's quite similar. It's a benefit from one side and maybe not benefit from other side, but the average is quite similar. No big difference between the performance of the cars No, I've never experienced this kind of thing. I have 4 ethanol cars during my life, 100% ethanol. By that time, it was a small problem in the beginning of technology, in the early 90s. In the morning, when it was a cold day, it was a little tough to put on the engine. But it was before 90s, it was 88, 89, in the beginning of technology. Then they developed electrical ignition with a little gasoline mixed that handled this. And now, of course, it doesn't happen anymore. The technology evolved.
The production of sugarcane will not lead to water scarcity. Sugarcane requires a lot of water.
I'll just repeat the question for everybody. What's the question?
This production of sugarcane will not lead to water scarcity in the state or country because sugarcane requires a lot of water to produce. So water management.
Yeah, maybe I'm not a specialist in ethanol, okay, so maybe I cannot answer all questions, but I will try. It's a lot of speaking around this subject now. People saying exactly what you said. People saying that this kind of biofuel will increase the global warming. Some people say it will increase the hungry. People will leave manufacturing food to manufacture fuel. It's everything. Nothing proved yet. It's a very new concept. By ethanol, we never felt that in our country. We have 30 years project, so we never felt that it damaged it collaborated for the global warming. We never felt that it makes some water problem. I heard people saying that about the hungry. So I think everybody agree. The world has plenty of food. The problem is to distribute this food. Our house, maybe every day we put food in the garbage after lunch, after dinner. This is the problem. We must try to take this food and distribute with people who doesn't have. So I would say that everything is too early maybe to talk about. But yes, can be a problem.
Sorry, just to Anthony, yeah, you come in a minute. Just in relation to fuel distribution, now I'm not an expert, as you know, I just from the information and conferences. I did meet Petropas speaker at a recent European conference on biofuels and all this whole issue of ethanol. And because I was trying to understand the problems myself in relation to the transport of fuel from the plant to the car, basically. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is that Brazil seems to have solved the problem through this process of evolvement. And I don't know what the solution is, and that is something for Petroworld to find out, but they appear to have solved the problem, and it's sugarcane. In America, the USA, North America, it's a totally different situation. It's to do with corn. There's a problem. You cannot transport ethanol. And the reality is, in Europe, not alone do they agree with that, they reject the European Union at the conference I was at, totally reject the one that's being used in America, simply on the basis that aviation fuel in Europe goes down the same pipes as other fuels. It's just a no-goer. In America, I believe they have the same problem, but the same pipelines and distribution. They can't allow their ethanol to go down a pipeline, or they're going to have this problem, what you're talking about, the evaporation of water. And obviously aviation fuel, there's a very big problem just in that area alone. So that's my understanding of it, that the other issue in Europe is food versus corn. You have many, whether it's Ireland, England, there's many biofuels evolving from sugar beet as opposed to sugar cane and other products. But corn, there is issues in principle on the food issue, I know. And from this conference I was at, there's a lot of money and investment going in, but it's going into other areas, other alternative fuels. And but before I just go over to Anthony, I'm myself, if there's anybody in the audience, I'm very, very interested to come to terms, because I still haven't heard the solution in relation to the transport of fuel for the longer term, because it seems to be that actually if they go that route and look for a solution without government tax incentives, it's going to be too expensive. We've seen in recent weeks the commodities have skyrocketed through. Only yesterday in Malaysia they have announced that they're putting the palm oil project on hold this week because of the commodity prices going up. Makes the whole thing too not cost effective.
Yeah.
So there is other issues there. So I think, and no one knows, it's going to evolve. But my interest in my area that I'm trying to focus in is fuel handling, and the service station is the transport of this fuel. And if it becomes a very big, like in Brazil is the biggest, 7%, is that right, of cars use, that means, you know, it'll get bigger and there's more fuel to be transported. But in Brazil, they appear to have solved this, you know.
Yeah. There's a lot of programs that are being developed to accomplish these situations. Everything has a way to solve. What I just would like to add of Dave's comment is that any solution is not perfect, you know. It's difficult to find a perfect solution in a short time. Everything must be studied, developed, and analyzed to come to better and better and better. So in Brazil now, the ethanol solution is good, it's doing pretty good. For the world, maybe some thoughts must be thinking yet to coordinate these problems, these global problems, but it will. The concern now is to find out some solutions for some problems that we are facing. And I would say the most important one is the global warming. It affects all of us, our family. Again, it doesn't matter to have food if you don't have air. Don't you agree? If you don't have air to survive, you don't need food. Okay?
Yeah. Marcello, two questions. First one, very basic, that in your comparison regarding the sourcing of ethanol from where it is produced, Datura was not included. I mean, just because India, a lot of land plantation is going into Datura, and that as a source of extracting ethanol. How does that compare? Any idea on that?
Which kind of?
Datura, that's a seed.
I'm not so sure.
No
I'm
idea
not
on
so
that.
sure. This study I showed here, it was from Veículos Research.
Okay.
It's a organization, international organization that is evaluating, constantly studying this kind of biofuel subject, and they only could only find that one that was on the
Because
side.
that somehow addresses the concern about water consumption, because this more or less uses the barren lands. I don't know what's the yield per hectare, but that was fine.
That slide shows what the viability, economical viability for this kind of biofuel against the price of petroleum. So maybe I should understand a little bit more about this kind of plant and.
Okay, thanks. My second question was specific. I mean, it would be concern to all that Brazil has gone through an evolution process, and we know ethanol is corrosive. Going to 100% means there is upgradation required on the transportation equipments, handling equipments, the infrastructure at the outlet, the vehicles, the vehicle which consume these fuel and burn these fuel. So it is a global project. It can't be just one part of it doing it, because it can't be without the vehicles ready, the oil company supplying, without the dispensers ready, the oil company supplying, or things like that. I mean, was there a government overall monitored approach on this? How did Brazil go about the whole thing?
Thank you very much. This is a very good reminder. Adding to Dave's comment also, the government of the countries, including Brazilian and all of the world, Europe, must be the ones who drive these solutions. So we as oil company can help, manufacturer can help, but if the top guys doesn't think about the solutions for these concerns, for those concerns, we can help, but they must make something with our help. Yeah. So in case of the products involved in the transportation, handling, as we said before, it requires some treatment, some special treatment. All the network of this biofuel requires some treatment. The car is not the same, the engine of the car is not the same of the one run only by gasoline, it's different. You have to treat the rubber parts, the metallic parts. Of course, the petroleum equipment, we said, is not the same. On the distribution areas, you must treat the tanks. Everything must be think, but it's not a big issue. It's something that is going on. So, but you must take care about that. You must be cautious about that.
The final question before we go to
I'm Anthony from Eastman. My question to you is, I don't know there is advantage on biofuel, but do the car manufacturers warranty their engine if I use biofuel? Do they hold still warranty, or since you use biofuel and something wrong with the engine, there's no warranty because you use biofuel? Because it's meant to use gasoline. Does the car manufacturers, they warranty on the engine after using biofuel?
Yes, as we said a few minutes ago, this is a concern that must come from the government of our countries to regulate this business. You know, it's not just you start manufacturing ethanol or biodiesel and selling